Vindication of the Rights of Women by Mary Wollstonecraft, published in 1792, is a seminal work that laid the foundation for the feminist movement. Wollstonecraft argues for the education and rights of women, challenging prevailing notions about gender roles, education, and societal expectations. The book is a powerful and eloquent plea for the recognition of women as rational beings deserving of the same rights and opportunities as men. Introduction: Mary Wollstonecraft's context. Mary Wollstonecraft, an 18th century philosopher and writer, lived in a period characterized by political upheaval, intellectual ferment, and discussions about human rights. The French Revolution had recently taken place, and Enlightenment ideas were influencing debates on liberty, equality, and the rights of man. However, these discussions often excluded women, prompting Wollstonecraft to address the glaring omission of women's rights in the broader discourse. A call for rational education, the importance of reason. Wollstonecraft begins by asserting that women are not inherently inferior to men but appear so due to their lack of education. She argues for a rational education that develops women's minds and intellect, enabling them to contribute meaningfully to society. Wollstonecraft criticizes the prevailing educational practices that limit women to superficial accomplishments and praises ornamental education that emphasizes appearance and manners. On marriage inequality, a bold critique. Wollstonecraft challenges the institution of marriage as it existed in her time, arguing that it often led to the subjugation of women. She advocates for a more egalitarian and companionate marriage based on mutual respect and shared intellectual pursuits. Her vision of marriage rejects the idea of women being reduced to mere ornaments or dependent on men for their identity and well-being. Motherhood and education, nurturing rational beings. Wollstonecraft discusses the role of mothers in shaping the characters of future citizens. She emphasizes the importance of mothers being educated and rational to provide proper guidance to their children. Wollstonecraft envisions a society where mothers contribute to the development of virtuous and enlightened individuals through their role as educators. A critique of Rousseau, the influence of contemporary thinkers. Wollstonecraft engages with the ideas of influential philosophers of her time, particularly Jean-Jacques Rousseau. While acknowledging Rousseau's contributions to political philosophy, she vehemently disagrees with his views on women's education. Wollstonecraft criticizes Rousseau for perpetuating traditional gender roles and advocating an education system that perpetuates women's subordination. Women in the public sphere, breaking gender barriers. Wollstonecraft challenges the notion that women should remain confined to the domestic sphere. She advocates for women's active participation in the public sphere, arguing that denying women access to political life hampers the progress of society as a whole. Wollstonecraft envisions a society where women contribute to public discourse and engage in civic responsibilities as informed and rational beings. Religion and morality, a rational framework. Wollstonecraft addresses the influence of religion on women's status, arguing against the idea that women's moral superiority excuses their lack of education and rights. She advocates for a rational and reasoned morality that applies equally to both men and women. Wollstonecraft believes that grounding morality in reason, rather than religious dogma, will lead to a more just and equitable society. A vision of equality, Wollstonecraft's utopia. Wollstonecraft presents her vision of an ideal society where men and women are educated together, work side by side, and participate equally in civic life. She envisions a society that values reason, virtue, and individual rights, transcending the gender-based hierarchies and restrictions that characterized her contemporary world. Impact and legacy, Wollstonecraft's enduring influence. A Vindication of the Rights of Women had a profound impact on subsequent feminist movements and the broader discourse on gender equality. Wollstonecraft's ideas laid the groundwork for the advocacy of women's rights, education, and participation in public life. Her work inspired generations of feminists who would continue the fight for gender equality in the centuries to come. Conclusion: Mary Wollstonecraft's enduring legacy. Mary Wollstonecraft's A Vindication of the Rights of Women remains a foundational text in the history of feminist literature and political philosophy. Wollstonecraft's eloquent arguments, passionate advocacy for women's rights, and critique of societal norms have left an indelible mark on the ongoing struggle for gender equality. Her call for the recognition of women as rational beings deserving of education and equal rights reverberates through the centuries, continuing to inspire those who seek a more just and equitable society.